Hello guys, welcome to another lecture that is on public key crypto system. In this, I'll give you a brief introduction of what public key crypto system is, and from the next lecture, we'll be talking about the algorithms specific to this particular concept. So public key crypto system, like the symmetric key crypto system, is again doing the same task of encryption and decryption because you have to send your messages through the insecure channel. But here, the encryptions and decryptions are carried out that will be with the help of the mathematical functions. So the plain text will be converted to the numbers, and those numbers will be passing through some mathematical functions, and those mathematical functions thus creating another numbers will be termed as the ciphertext, and those ciphertext will pass through the insecure channel. In this case, this is called as public key crypto system or is asymmetric key crypto system because it has got two keys, and that keys are generated by the key generator. So key generator here is with the receiver, that is the Bob. Therefore, the set of keys that it generates, namely the private key, which is represented by PRK Bob, and public key, which is represented by PU, that is public key Bob. Both are generated by key generator. The public key is distributed to the public so that anybody can use this public key to encrypt the messages and send to Bob. And private key is kept private with the Bob for decryption purposes. But that does not mean that private key cannot be used for encryption. You can use them for encryptions as well, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. So Bob has got the responsibility of the key generation and the distribution of that key, and this key distribution will be looking into the subsequent lectures, that what are the ways of distributing the key as well. And one such way is the certifying authorities. There are certain authorities that help in the distribution of the key. So basic idea is that if you want to send a message to somebody, you can get the public key of that person pretty easily, right? And the existence of the public key of the person means that that person has got the private key with himself as well, right? So you encrypt the message using the public key, as here in this case Alice is doing, encrypting the message with the public key of Bob, and that message is decrypted with the help of the private key of the Bob. Private key are a private thing or a secret thing that is only with the person intended. That's it. If that person, for example Bob, feels that the private key has been compromised and somebody else is also using the same key in order to read Bob's confidential messages, therefore in that scenario Bob should create the private and public key set again with the help of the key generator. Fine. So for now, if you have got the private key, that means it is authenticated that you are the person who is encrypting or decrypting the messages. You cannot use the same set of keys for encryption and decryption in both the ways in a two-way communication. Why? Because when you are sending the message, you are using the public key of Bob. Now see, the example here is that anybody in the world, any person, X, Y, Alice, anybody can use the public key of Bob, right, and send a message to Bob. What does that mean? That does not mean that Bob can identify that who is sending the message, but these senders are pretty sure that whatever message or ciphertext they have created with the help of the public key of Bob can only be read by Bob. If there is some other person, suppose Z, who wants to read this very message, that Z needs to have a private key of Bob, which is not possible because Z has got the private key of Z and not Bob. Therefore, confidentiality or secrecy of the message is attained when you are encrypting with the help of the public key. And the same cannot be used in the other direction. Why? Because now imagine Bob is sending the reply to Alice, and if Bob is encrypting the message with the help of the private key of Bob, that means that message can only be decrypted by the public key of Bob. Now public key of Bob is not a private thing, it's a public thing. So if there is a person X, X can also have an access to public key of Bob, and thereby X can also read this that message. Z can also read that message. Any intruder can read that message, and if that message is supposed to be a confidential reply back to the Alice, therefore you cannot encrypt it using your private key. you have to use the public key. Now you cannot use the public key of Bob because that would require the private key of Bob to decrypt, which Alice does not have. What Alice has is the private key of Alice. So Alice need to have a key generator that gives him the Alice's private key, and a public key will be distributed to the whole world. So Bob would be using the public key of Alice to encrypt the reply and send it to the Alice, and then Alice would be using the private key of his own or her own to decrypt the message. So you will see that for forward transmission you are using the public key of Bob and the private key of Bob, and for the backward transmission you are using the public key of Alice and the private key of Alice. So that means you need two different set of keys for two-way communication. You cannot use the same set of keys for two-way communication. If you want to simply get the message from anybody, you need to have one private key. Key generator will give you that value, and you can receive the message from anyone who has got the public key of yours. And if you want to send a message to somebody, all you need is to have the public key of that very person, and you can send the message, and you will be assured of the confidentiality of that particular message. For more explanation, what kind of mathematical functions do we use for encryption and decryption? So here E is representing a mathematical function, here D is another mathematical function, which is basically the inverse of the function E, but these are two different functions that are having two different kinds of values to calculate the resultant. Here the public key and plain text are input to this function, and they create a ciphertext, and here private key and ciphertext in combination will be fed into a inverse function which calculates the P. Now the thing here is, because C is publicly available on the insecure channel, therefore anybody can have an attack onto the insecure channel and read the value of C. So C is your ciphertext, right? So a person cannot understand, but the person will try to do the E inverse calculations, and that E inverse calculation should be a very difficult task. Therefore E has to be a one-way trapdoor function. Trapdoor basically means that you have got some secretive information for the inverse calculation, otherwise the inverse is not possible. So E has to be a function which is easy in terms of calculation of the ciphertext, but it's very difficult to calculate the inverse of that function. It should be infeasible, so that anybody who has an access to the ciphertext should not apply the inverse function and get the plaintext back. Rather, it should have a secretive information which, when supplied to the inverse function D, then the computation of the plaintext should be an easy task, right? Now, since it is dependent on a secret, so that is called as the trapdoor function. Here, that secret information is the private key of Bob, and since it is private, and I said if it is compromised, you have to create a new set of keys. You have to create a new set of keys. All right. So based on this secretive information, you can easily decrypt the messages. But any other person, for example, if the function that you are using over here is an exponential function, now at that exponential function, the logarithmic calculation of any exponential function cannot be guaranteed in the polynomial time. Sometimes you may get the result, sometimes you may not get the result, right? So the E inverse calculation, if it is an exponential function, is a very difficult task, and therefore such functions would be used for encryption. So nobody can calculate the inverse of it. But we'll see when we are discussing about RSA in the next lecture that there is a secretive information that is the responsibility of the key generator to keep that secretive information with the Bob itself, which helps in the inverse calculation, and that too pretty easily. Now there are some misconceptions regarding the public key crypto systems, and that is that it is the most secure system and it is more secure than the symmetry key that we have seen in the previous lectures, basically unit 1. It is false, because we said that there is Kirchhoff's law that says that algorithm is known to everybody, and the security is vastly dependent on the size of the key and the difficulty to calculate the key, and the same is applied over here as well. In symmetry key, we have discussed advanced encryption standard AES. AES has got 256 bits of keys, 128, 192, and that is a humongous range of keys that the brute force is practically infeasible, and therefore they are very secure. So in terms of security, we cannot say public key encryption is more secure than this the symmetric key crypto system. This is absolutely false. Other example could be that even if you are using an exponential function and you are using a very small value of key, suppose you are using a value 3. So Here that basically means that C is equals to P cube. So P cube, you know, if you calculate the cube root, then you can easily get the plain text back. So if you are using a smaller key domain, again, even in the case of public key crypto system, it will not be secure. It can be easily broken down, right? Therefore, public key encryption is not more secure. It all depends on the size of the key. Second point is that public key crypto system is general purpose and it has obsoleted the asymmetric encryptions. Now, this is again not true. Why? Because public key crypto systems give you some added advantages that we'll see in a few slides, but it is not fast. If you have large pieces of information, you need faster mechanisms for calculation, and symmetry key is the faster mechanism. So symmetry key cannot be ignored at all. Still larger messages are always encrypted with the help of the symmetry key algorithms. So public key crypto systems, another use could be here. In the previous one, we said that the key generator was with the receiver and receiver was, managing the values. Here, the key generator is with the sender himself, and the key generator is again generating a pair of values. Here, the private key that key generator generates is for the Alice. So the private key of Alice is kept private with the Alice, and the public key of Alice is made public to everyone. Here, the message is encrypted with the help of the private key of Alice. In previous case, we used the public key of the other party. Here we are using the private key of the same party. So private key of Alice is used for the encryption, and then the message is sent. This pretty much means that the public key of Alice can be used for the decryption of the message, and therefore, since this public key is distributed to everyone in public, therefore anybody across the world can decrypt using the public key of Alice and read the information. So that means it is not providing you confidentiality, but it is providing you another service, and that service is called as authentication. Because the message is decrypting using the public key of Alice, that means it was the private key of Alice that encrypted the message at the first place. And since private key is private to Alice and nobody else can have it, therefore data origin or data source authentication could be done with the help of this approach. So you can use public key crypto system for authentication purposes and in case of digital signatures. And this is pretty much the idea of digital signatures, which we will be talking in greater details later on. You can always use multiple encryptions at both the ends and multiple decryptions. The order of the encryption and decryption should be exactly reverse of each other. Here, the plain text is first encrypted with the help of the private key of Alice, and this is ensuring the authentication of the origin of the message because it is encrypted by Alice. So that means Alice is the one who has created the message. And then it is encrypted with the public key of Bob, which means that it can only be decrypted by the private key of Bob. So this particular encryption is providing you the confidentiality. The first encryption is providing you the authentication, and when it reaches the Bob, then Bob is decrypting it using the private key of Bob. So first of all, Bob is confirmed that it's a confidential message and nobody else can read it. And second of all, since the message is decrypting with the help of the public key of Alice, that means Alice is the one who has created the message by his or her own private key, and therefore Bob is now guaranteed that it's a confidential message that has been received from the Alice. So you can have authentication and secrecy both going hand in hand, and these are the facilities that are provided by public key crypto system. So in the end, I can say that both the encryption methods are important for us. Symmetry key has got pros and cons, like it is fast and therefore could be used for larger messages, but it does not provide you the authentication and other mechanisms. For those, you can go for the symmetry key crypto system. And one example, if I quote you here, is that if you want to send a large message using the symmetry key crypto system, so symmetry key also uses a secret key information, right? And that secretive information can be exchanged between the two parties with the help of asymmetric key crypto systems, because key information is a small information, and small informations can be shared with the help of asymmetric key crypto systems. Thank you for now, and in the next lecture we will be talking about the RSA algorithm, which is based on public key crypto systems.